Now, Damo, this is the press conference where you take over and ask the hard questions. So, Spud's here and Garry's here.
Some pretty short fuses in the box too, Warrior. So.
All right, we'll start with you, JB.
Going to need a chip, yes.
This week you've had a captain and a CEO in the news for the wrong reasons. How would you rate the week for North Melbourne?
It was an ordinary 24 hours. I don't think the rest of the week's been fine. But dealt with very quickly, and you do what you do in footy, Damo, and that's move on straight away, because you can't dwell on that sort of stuff. You just got to deal with it straight away and then get on with it.
Were there mixed messages being sent over the mopping up of the Brent Harvey situation, where he named, as we know, this time last week, or about this time last week, Sam Wright and Lachlan Hansen as being poorly performed players, not just in that game, but in their careers to that point, basically is what he said. The coach came out 48 hours later and said that's not the right way to do things. Was that a mixed message for Brent to stand by the comments and Brad Scott to shoot them down?
No, I don't think so. I think you need, as a football club, to make it very clear that that's not the way you operate, and I had no problem with Brad Scott doing that, because my view is if you don't say anything, you condone the behaviour, and you certainly cannot be seen to be doing that. Now, Boomer's a ripper. He's been a terrific leader of the club. Straight away, I think he knew he did the wrong thing, and I don't think he had any problem with the way it was handled. And in fact, he handled it really well himself. He got straight to those players, sorted it out with them, and I think it was dealt with very well immediately, and that's the end of it.
Eugene Arocca, the CEO, anyone who knows him knows he is as passionate a person about his football as anyone. So that's the background to it. Why, though? Was he a CEO on the forum of a? Well, yeah. Background was it, Garry? During the week, he responded to Joffa, of all people, on a Collingwood website forum, and the topic of the letter was about fans of the respective clubs leaving the venues early. I mean, again, anyone who knows Eugene will know that he gets worked up and can know the background. But to an outsider, a CEO of a footy club being on the forum of a rival club and engaging in conversation in letter form with a rival group, it wasn't a great look.
No, and that was also pointed out immediately, and Eugene put his hand up immediately and said that he regretted going down that path. We all make mistakes, Damo. I think if that's the biggest one you make as an employee of a footy club, then you're tracking pretty well. But we don't need to be indulging in that, and I think Eddie pretty much came out straight away and fired back at us, and he had every right to, because that's not the right way to go, and I think you knew that straight away and put his hand up straight away. So I think that's a good sign when someone admits they're wrong immediately.
But his Supercoach team's going all right.
What? Has he got a Supercoach?
He's spent a bit of time on the forums and then, move over to the Dream Team.
You're an idiot, yeah.
Danny, you're good mates with Tony Lockett, yes?
Oh, yes.
Yes. That's a pretty easy part of this.
Look, we don't speak a lot, but yeah.
Okay. We look at, on the left of the radio dial, we look at this venue. As a rule, it's the Lockett end. The other end is the Coventry end. Today, though, it's not the Lockett end, it's the Footscray end. Today, it's the Footscray end. The Footscray Footy Club's got its markings and banners all over it. So, I've been told that Tony Lockett was informed of this in the past fortnight, or certainly in the past month, and that he hasn't taken all that kindly to it. And you being just about his best mate in life, I'm assuming you know about this.
Haven't approached it with him at all, and it's probably the first time that I've known that, looking up there now. So does this happen for all Bulldogs games?
It appears that way.
And
it appears that way. Essendon changed the Coventry end to the Lloyd end as well. Okay. So how would Tony take that? How would Tony take that, do you think?
I can't answer for him. But knowing Plugger,
because there was an issue, and again, by way of background, there was an issue. He was actually, I believe, reluctant to put his name to that end when it was first brought into play, this stadium, back in 2000. So he was reluctantly putting his name to it. Now he's reluctantly been asked to remove it on certain games.
So does he have to physically remove it, or
no? It's there. It's just been covered over today. But is it? What I'm trying to get. I reckon this is quite disrespectful.
I'm not going to speak for him, but knowing Tony as I do, look, he'd probably just fob it off. But whoever made the phone call, I'm tipping he wouldn't have given him too much time. I would have thought.
The question is, Damo, if they went back to him again at the start and said, Tony, we want to use your name up there, and what they should have said is, we want to use your name for an end of the ground, but every second week we're going to cover it up.
That wouldn't have been an issue then.
Would he still do it? He would have probably said no.
I wouldn't have thought
Probably.
so. No, I reckon it's disrespectful for what it's worth, and I reckon the venue's gone down that path. Danny, a couple of weeks ago, we found out that you were in discussions or had been approached by GWS to be a director or in some role. I wasn't sure. Was it be a board spot or a director of football?
No, it was a footy director.
Now, you told us you said no to it.
Yep, that's right.
Have they come back to you?
No, not at all.
I think they will.
I've had a discussion with Tony since then about a couple of issues.
Hang on.
Nothing.
Oh.
No.
Because I've been told they're going to have another crack at you. Because I've been told they're also just a little bit worried about where it's all going at the moment at
What
GWS.
do you mean worried about where it's all going? They're playing the VFL.
Yep, and they're a lot further behind where Gold Coast was this time last year, and you know that because that was the reason they wanted someone up there with a bit of to give it a bit of stability. So, can you rule it out? You'll be part of that club.
No, I'll be ruling it out, mate.
Okay. Gaz, you were instrumental in the, I suppose, one of the debates of the week between Jeff Kennett and Craig Hutchison. In fact, I think you probably started it when you actually got...
I started it.
I reckon you used when Hutchy said what he said, you actually forced him into saying, are you calling Jeff Kennett a liar?
No one forces Hutchy to say
No, very
anything.
true. How did you see it play out? I want to get your take on it because you saw it unfold on the Thursday footy show and you commented last night that wasn't a great look. You also, I believe, heard Hutchy on radio this morning defending himself vehemently.
Yeah, well, for those that didn't hear it, on his own radio show, Hutchy does his own show, 9 to 11, I thought he was quite magnificent in the way he defended himself and refused to back down. Now, unless you know exactly what he knows, it's hard to comment, but he didn't back down. In fact, he went again. And
he said Jeff Kennett is lying?
Yeah, he stood by everything he said.
And he said Alistair Clarkson is lying because Jeff Kennett forced him to lie.
That had forced Alistair, and then he went on and said, he said the fact that people lie didn't worry him that much because that's what happens in footy, but I guess what happened to Hutchy on the back of Thursday night was that he got smashed. He got absolutely smashed by some significant people in football and also by some really, really insignificant sort of faceless people who just get on those sites and smash people without really knowing what's going on. So he said, enough's enough, and he got on today and went smack. And I probably haven't heard the end of it, but...
Okay, the question...
The seating was a bit hard for him, though, wasn't it?
He didn't seat, he stood. And, Dr. Turf, who's on his thing, said Brayshaw and line didn't help him. Well, maybe, Doc, our show, we stand up for ourselves. And we all get belted. We all have to think on our feet.
Well, we meant to have done it.
Oh, God knows. I don't know. Go and hold his hand. We have to ask this Dr. Smurf.
Hutchy doesn't need his hand held. But look, for what it's worth, I said last night, as I said, I reckon his info is right. 100% right. So I'm backing Hutchy on this one. And Garry, so now that you've seen it unfold, and you asked Craig Hutchison, do you believe Jeff Kennett was lying? Who do you think's telling the truth now?
Well, history suggests for me that Hutchy might be closer to where it's at than the Hawks, and I understand why they do it, but and also having, as I said last night, I mean the most recent experience from Essendon and everyone else says, look, clubs band together, and if it gets out, then the best defence is deny.